Making music out of scales? Hell yes. Check this out. Hi, I'm John Liebman. Welcome to another edition of The Essence of Groove. All right, how many times have you been told, learn your scales, learn your modes, gotta know your scales, gotta learn your modes, gotta know them all? And you're like, okay. So let me ask you something. Do you know why you're told to learn your scales, learn your modes? Or more importantly, do you know what you're supposed to do with all those notes? If you know anything about me and the way I teach, I make everything groove. String crossings, arpeggios, chromatic runs, even scales. My scales groove. There's no reason, I think, that whatever you're learning, whatever you're practicing, why not make it groove? Why can't it be musically satisfying and rewarding and fun to play? Well, with my stuff, it is. So let's talk about a scale. Why do we learn scales? Well, there are a few reasons. First of all, you do want to build up a certain amount of technique, some proficiency, some ability on the bass, chops, okay? So you want to build up your bass chops. But a lot of people stop there. That's just the beginning. You also want to learn how to play this family of notes. Think of a scale as a family of notes. For example, here's an A major scale. Okay, those are the notes in an A major scale, and those are used to make music and to build some chops and proficiency in those things. Not to say that they're not important, but I think chops and proficiency and all that stuff is a means to an end, and that end is making music. But yes, you do have to go through and build the chops, build the proficiency. So let's take a look at something here. Here is, like I said, an A major scale. Now, everything I'm going to show you right now is confined to these 4 frets, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th frets on all 4 strings. If we want to go a little bit beyond and start the next octave of the A major scale, we can go 3 more notes within this position here. Now, I want you to make note of what we call the shapes, where your fingers are when we play the notes in an A major scale, or any major scale really, but in this case, an A major scale. Like I said, we can go a little bit higher than the octave A, and we can go a little bit lower too, 1 note lower. And the reason I'm showing you that is because in this configuration, in this shape, on the E string, we're playing on frets 4, 5, and 7. On the A string, we're also playing on frets 4, 5, and 7. On the D string, we're playing on frets 4, 6, and 7. And on the G string, we're also playing on frets 4, 6, and 7. So here's the shape. We're going 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 6, 7, 4, 6, 7. If you can get that shape, which is a pretty easy one to remember, in your mind anyway, getting your fingers to remember it is the challenge, but even that is not so hard. Remember that shape. I'm going to come back to it a lot. Now, there are other things you can do to, take it up a notch. Instead of just playing the straight A major scale, you can have a little fun and play it in thirds. Thirds. That means we start on A, the first note, and instead of playing B, the second note, we're going to leapfrog over that B, and we're going to play the third note, C sharp. Then we're going to come back and play the note we missed, the B. And instead of playing the C sharp again, we're going to leapfrog over that and play the D. And go down 1, go up to the next note, down, up. So like this. one-handed. Already sounds more musical than... But if you get hung up on those notes, if you want to play it in thirds and you have trouble remembering, come back to the shape. 4-5-7, 4-5-7, 4-6-7, 4-6-7. Every one of those notes is in the A major scale. You won't go wrong with any of them for the purpose of this exercise. Want to have a little more fun? You can go up 4, down 4, up 4, down 4, starting on each note of the scale, like this. Ah! Well, that was almost perfect. Anyway, you get the idea. Remember the shape. 4-5-7, 4-5-7, 4-6-7, 4-6-7. You can take it up one more notch for this exercise here. Take it as slow as you need to. Just if you can remember the shape and get your fingers to remember the shape. Muscle memory really is a real thing. Sometimes you forget what note and your finger goes, oh, it's this note. And you say, oh, thank you, finger. I mean, that really happens. One other thing I want to mention is on the plucking hand, generally speaking, most bass players find it more natural, more comfortable, a little easier to start with, well, this finger. Start with 2 and then go 2-1, 2-1, alternating. And it does take some concentration. It's not like I'm piling on more and more things for you to remember or to, stress about. I used to like to play a lot of things like Flight of the Bumblebee and Paganini. And that piece is called Moto Perpetuo, which means perpetual motion. 4 pages of solid 16th notes, nothing but 16th notes. So that's an extreme example. When you have something that's a repetitive figure, a lot of 8th notes, a lot of 16th notes, that's when it really comes in handy to do 2-1, 2-1 and concentrate on alternating. If you're playing, a walking bass line or an R&B or a funk groove, just do whatever feels natural. But in this, for the purpose of this exercise and the kinds of things we're talking about, 2-1, 2-1, alternate. Even if you go, some people I guess like to go 1-2, 1-2. As long as you alternate, that will keep it smooth and steady. Now, we said we want to learn scales, we want to make music. So you don't have to play or even any of those other variations. As long as you can play the notes in that scale, have some fun with it. Play any note, keep in mind the shapes. I'm going to tell you again, 4-5-7, 4-5-7, 4-6-7, 4-6-7. Okay, maybe not the best musical composition in the world, but hey, maybe you can come up with something better. The point is, I did not play anything other than the notes in that shape. In those shapes, the notes in an A major scale. Every single note was in a scale. I didn't use any passing tones or anything like that. And I did not go any lower than the G sharp on the 4th fret of the E string. I did not go any higher than the D on the 7th fret of the G string. So it's a matter of discipline, which is really good for you. I heard a story one time, I think it was about Phil Woods. Somebody said Phil Woods was a legendary alto sax player. And I first found out about him, I was talking to a friend. He said, you want to go see Phil Woods tonight? I said, well, who's that? And he says, he's the sax player that played on Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are. I said, oh yeah, cool. And we went down to see him, but he's a jazz player. He did so much more stuff than that. He did that as a great solo, unbelievable solo he played on that record. In fact, my improv teacher used to talk about that down at University of Miami. The rock guys all thought, oh, so what other rock records have you played on? He says, I'm a jazz player. Anyway, Phil Woods, the reason I bring that up is because I heard he would, just for the sheer discipline of it and forcing himself to think, he would play a solo all confined to just a fifth. Like if he started on the A, for example, he'd go no lower than this and no higher than this. Not a whole lot of notes in that little space there. I mean, he probably used some passing tones and some notes that were not in the scale, you know. But I say that just to make a point. You can confine the notes that you're going to play just to a major scale. And it doesn't always have to be an A major scale. That is another big takeaway from this lesson here. Keep in mind what I call the awesome consistency of the bass, how it is symmetrical. It's tuned in perfect fourths all the way up and all the way down. Which means if you can play something anywhere on the bass, you can pretty much play it everywhere on the bass. Keep that shape in mind. It's the same thing. It's not 4, 5, 7, but just think 1 fret, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 2 frets, 1 fret, 2 frets, 1 fret. So same thing up here. Okay, that's any major scale, and you can extend it up onto the D string. You can play it over 3 strings, you can play it over 4 strings. So get the notes under your fingers, learn the shapes, and then more importantly, you want not just your fingers to know what to do, but you want your ear to recognize the sounds so your fingers can go where your ear wants them to go. And you'll know the sound, you'll know the shape, and you'll have those chops and the proficiency and the facility all over the bass like we talked about. Give this a try and hit me up, let me know, leave a comment below or get a hold of me. I love hearing comments on these lessons. Share your experience. Let me know what worked. Let me know what's hanging you up if you need any help. I love helping bass players. In fact, I've got all kinds of tips and advice for learning bass. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, give this stuff a try, let me know how it goes, and I will see you right back here next week, same time, same place, with another edition of The Essence of Groove.